I, 30, female, had been asked to be a bridesmaid by one of my colleagues, Rose, 27, female. I was a little taken aback since we haven't known each other for long, but we're still close as far as work friends go, so I said yes. Now she's added me to a group text with all the other bridesmaids, and there are around 12 of us. One of them happens to be an old friend of mine from high school, who's also her neighbor. So the two of us also got in touch, which is one good thing that came out of that group. Apparently, she'd been shocked that Rose asked her to be a bridesmaid since the two of them weren't even that close. And I told her that I felt the same way when she asked me. The two of us chalked it up to her being nice and trying to make new friends and left it at that. That is, until 2 days ago when she shared an exorbitantly priced wedding dress in the group and informed us that we'd be paying for the dress. It was already a luxury designer dress that cost 10 grand by itself. And she'd added customizations as well, which made the whole price go up to $12,000. So that was 1 grand for each bridesmaid. And suddenly it all made sense to me as to why she'd asked so many people to be bridesmaids. It had nothing to do with her wanting to cement her friendships with us, but everything to do with that wedding dress. It didn't even take me a second to decline, saying that I was not spending $1,000 for someone else's wedding dress. And I tried my very best to be polite, even though I was fuming that she just assumed we'd be spending such a large sum of money for her dress. As soon as I said so, a few other women in the group texted as well, saying the same thing, including my friend from high school. At this point, there are around 7 people who've already said no, and the 5 women remaining are her actual close friends, whom she's been friends with forever. Gradually, they began to reply, saying that they couldn't just drop $1,000 on a dress like that, and even suggested that maybe she could search for something that looked similar. That's when Rose chose to reply with a long paragraph about how we were all being selfish right now and how she's been planning for her wedding since she was a kid, and we were ruining it all by refusing to do this one little thing for her. She even said, and I quote, "I'm giving you guys the opportunity of a lifetime by letting you guys pay for this dress," and that we were being ungrateful bridesmaids. I was shocked because of the sheer audacity of this statement. She wasn't letting us pay for anything. She needed us to pay for it. I literally work with her. I know for a fact we don't get paid enough to afford something like that. By then, I'd had enough of her, so I merely said that I didn't think I could be a bridesmaid anymore if it meant that I'd have to pay 1,000, since that seemed a bit much, and left the group. I have no idea what happened after that since I turned off my phone. It was the weekend and I wanted to spend time with my husband, not bickering with Rose. It wasn't until later that evening that I found out what had actually happened after I left. When I finally did check my phone after hours, I had almost 20 missed calls from Rose and at least 50 texts. And all 50 of those texts were filled with name calling and accusations where she said I was the one responsible for all her bridesmaids opting out of the wedding. I was really confused, so I asked my friend what had happened after I left, and dear God, what a mess. Although I can't say she didn't have it coming. So after I left the group, Rose went on to say that anyone who wanted to be a bad friend and ditch her on her most important day was welcome to follow my footsteps and leave, but that would also mean not being invited to the wedding at all and never speaking to her again. A few of her closest friends tried to reason with her, but she wasn't having any of it and remained adamant on her stance that her bridesmaids could either cough up the 1 grand or leave. And so eventually everyone left the group. My friend actually thanked me for leaving first since she's pretty non-confrontational and wouldn't have been able to do the same unless I'd done so first. She was laughing about how the situation turned out, but honestly, I don't feel that good about it. I mean, Rose is not a bad person otherwise, but the whole wedding thing has just turned her into a bit of a bridezilla. And I know that this is not an ideal situation to be in at all, even though it's her own fault. I kind of feel bad for her since I had no intention of starting a whole thing. She didn't even come into work today, and I think she's really hurt because of what happened. Can't be nice having all your friends walk out of your wedding, and I feel partly responsible for this, truth be told. I know she brought it onto herself for the most part, but maybe I should have just reacted calmly instead of leaving the group and stuff. I feel like I should talk to her at the very least or apologize to her for all this. I don't know. AITA in this situation? Update 1. Rose finally came into work today and I didn't speak to her or reach out to her whatsoever. Because honestly, this isn't my fault. The only thing I did was make my decision clear that I wouldn't be spending that sort of money for something that she needed. We're not that close, and it's not like it's a life or death situation for her. She doesn't need that wedding dress the way some of us need to save money. So, yeah, I'm not apologizing to her. She did make it a point to glare at me every time she got the chance to, though. Our cubicles are pretty close together, so she would walk past me periodically and shoot me nasty looks. I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish, but whatever. I don't care about it. Update 2. Man, I thought that the drama would have ended, but apparently not. I have no idea what's gotten into her, but she's taking things way too far for absolutely no reason. Rose made a post on Facebook tagging all of her bridesmaids, talking about how all of us had conspired against her and were trying to ruin her wedding, and why I am the person who's behind all of this since I've always been jealous of her work achievements. I'm not even kidding. She actually seems to believe that I planned all of this out to sabotage her wedding. Most of the bridesmaids didn't even bother to respond to the post, and the few that did, she began to argue with them as well until they blocked her. And I've blocked her too for my own peace of mind, but I'm not going to let this slide. I'm taking this up with HR since she just can't do stuff like this and get away with it. It absolutely is not okay. Update 3. Her wedding got cancelled. LOL. I sent our HR manager an email detailing everything that had happened right from when she'd asked me to be her bridesmaid to her Facebook post accusing me of sabotaging her wedding, complete with screenshots. Needless to say, she was reprimanded since she dragged the company's name into her post as well while trying to expose my jealousy. And that's when she lost it, I guess. After she was talked to by HR, she came right for me and started screaming in my face about how I was jealous and petty. And when I refused to acknowledge her, she grabbed my coffee mug and threw it all over my laptop. Thankfully, it wasn't that hot and it missed my hands by a couple of inches. Immediately after that, security escorted her out of the premises and she was fired. The only reason the cops weren't called was because I didn't want to press charges. Although in hindsight, I probably should have, and I wish I could say the harassment stopped there, but it didn't. Even after that, she continued to text me from various accounts, trying to guilt trip me or whatever. I finally lost it and tracked down her fiance and told him everything that had happened so far and said that if she didn't stop harassing me, then I'd be left with no option but to take legal action against her. He was pretty apologetic about it and said that he had no idea and was sorry that I had to deal with any of this. That was that. Today I learned from my friend that apparently when her fiance confronted her about her crazy behavior, she'd begun to yell at him as well, and they got into a huge screaming fight. She heard a lot of it since it was in their driveway, and she lives right next to them. Eventually, he just drove away without a word and canceled the wedding since Rose had deleted all engagement-related posts from her profile. So that's where it's at right now. I can't believe a spat over a wedding dress spiraled into something so out of control. But honestly, I don't think it's my fault at all. She brought this onto herself with her unreasonable and frankly demented behavior. At least I don't have to put up with any of it anymore. Thank God for that. Oh, gosh. What is it with Bridezillas? NTA at all. Edit. I'm glad her fiancé saw sense and decided to leave because if she's acting this crazy over a wedding dress, then there's no telling how she'll behave once they're married. After reading the updates, though, I think you should have pressed charges for the coffee incident. She could have hurt you pretty badly if you hadn't reacted in time. Initially, I was leaning towards NTA, but after the updates, yeah, ESH. Rose is a spoiled brat, there's no doubt about it. But OP, you did not need to go complaining about it to her fiancé. You had no right. In the end, you did end up sabotaging her wedding, and her wedding got cancelled, LOL. Wow, maybe she was right about you being a tiny bit jealous of her since it sounds like you were. Ignore everyone saying ESHOP. You did the right thing. This woman is clearly out of control. What were you supposed to do? She ruined her own wedding by acting crazy. That's it. NTA at all. Next story. I'm definitely the A to myself, at least somewhat, for getting into this situation. But I don't think the rest of this is me. I'm a junior in college. I ended up in a bad roommate situation where I needed to switch dorms mid-year. Unlike in August, the options are more limited for mid-year switches, and the only opening the office could find was with a married couple whose previous roommate had just graduated. I was nervous about living with a couple and especially a straight one, but these dorms are set up as apartments. Each bedroom has its own bath and it's only for one semester, so I decided to suck it up. They did not. Cindy almost screamed and ran into her bedroom the first time she saw me. Alex covered it by saying that I just look a lot like someone she had a bad history with. Gee, thanks. And that she has anxiety but will calm down. It's been a month now, and she has not. Cindy has never spoken directly to me, so I have to go through Alex for any conversation, something that makes me really uncomfortable. She hides in her room if she so much as knows I'm home. In the times that I've been in the common room when she's walked in, she immediately ran to her room or outside. Alex keeps saying she just has anxiety and it will ease up, but it's very tense. They, her, now want to schedule times for use of the common room or for me to share my schedule of when I'll be around to make everyone feel comfortable. I don't want to do this. I shouldn't have to. I have a right to be home whenever without announcing it first. The housing office thinks I should be polite because they're not telling me I can't be there. They just want an idea of when. I think my roommates need to just deal with it. I'm compromising a lot to live with them, and they need to as well. Opinion 1. NTA. Cindy absolutely is by treating you like garbage and not getting treatment for her trauma. Your job isn't to make her comfortable. It's her job to manage her feelings. You're just living your life. You have a right to live your life comfortably and use common areas of that apartment. Tell your roommates that it is not your job to manage Cindy's anxiety and that you are not going to schedule your common room time. NTA, Cindy needs to get more therapy. I understand that she was traumatized and is trying to deal with that, but that's still no excuse for A, Alex just marginalizing it as, oh, she just has anxiety, and B, treating you as though you've done something wrong here other than just existing and having your physical features. Cindy is responsible for her own mental health, not you. Next story. My friend Natalie admitted to being jealous of me and other women. I think she has a strong victim complex as a result of her jealousy. One of the things Natalie has done is she tried to ruin her other friend's new relationship because she had a crush on the guy 5 years ago. She spread around how her other friend stole her crush and lied about the facts to make her friend seem worse. Natalie hates other women for having a lot of men pursue them or having boyfriends. She said her former friends have ditched her once they got boyfriends. She hates when women wear skirts or shorts because she thinks they're showing off their body. Whenever I mention going to the gym, when she asks what my plans are, she tells me that I'm obsessed. I go 3 times a week, and she knows this. She has tried to convince me not to go to the gym, telling me that she's in me for wanting to go. When guys ask me out, she tells me that they're only interested in my hot body. Her weight has been increasing over the years, and she has gone from overweight to obese. I have comforted her and tried helping her when she wanted my help, but she won't change her diet nor exercise. She calls counting calories to lose weight excessive. Instead, she said what she always said: men aren't interested in her romantically because of her weight, and all they care about is looks, not personality, and that's why they go after me, not her. Fed up, I told her, I don't think men don't want to date you because of your weight. I think it's because you have a shitty, immature personality. You're jealous of every girl to the point where you try to put them down and bring them down to your level to make yourself feel better. She was very upset with my words and called me jealous of her because she's mainly friends with men and this is why she isn't friends with women. They cause too much drama. She told other people what I said to her, who said I crossed the line by saying that. I might be TA because she is mostly friends with men who describe her as very nice, but none of them were ever interested in dating her. I've seen her treat her male friends differently, almost like she has a crush on all of them, but they have seen what she says and does to her female friends and just say they weren't meant to be friends. I was wondering, AITA? Edit. There are times when she is nice. I think when she gets jealous, she acts out. NTA. I've had to have this conversation many times before with men, oddly enough, over their height. Because no, Jeff, the reason you can't get a girlfriend is not because you're 5'6". It's because you don't treat women as humans. In her case, it's because she expects to be out on a pedestal and worshipped, shunning all other women. It's the exact same thing. Some people really just need a reality check. LOL, NTA. You didn't sit there and insult her weight. You called her on her shitty personality. That said, I have zero doubts that your friend is a pick-me girl. No way in hell are the women you see and the one they see the same person. Ditch her and go about your life. Oh, and for the friends giving you shit, I have no doubt she told them a different story than what actually went down. May want to consider dropping them too, if they're so blind to her ways. Opinion 3. NTA, I do think what you said was rude. You said the truth, in my opinion, but you could have used kinder words. Yet I understand you were just fed up with Natalie's antics. In the future, this is why you don't bottle things up. They'll come out eventually and likely make it seem like you went from 0 to 100 and let the other person grounds victimize themselves. That said, Natalie is a huge a-hole to other women, and men actually, and mostly to herself. What Natalie is one of the most annoying forms of a pick-me girl. Because on top of her not like other girls insecure act, she's also so resentful of men not picking up on that act that she also attacks them. Not only are all girls skinny, B's obsessed with the gym and showing off, but all men are gland-brained idiots who only care about looks and miss out on dating her because she's overweight. Sorry, but that would be a pain in the ass to deal with for anyone, especially if you're the one of her go-to punch bags. Cut her off, let everyone else deal with her. Next story. While I don't think it's a big deal, I feel it may be asked. So I will state first and foremost that I have never liked dogs, and especially dog nutters. I'm not talking about dog lovers. I'm talking about the individuals who would spit in a kid's face for looking at their animal because they are such a protective mama, papa bear to their fur babies. This seems judgmental, and perhaps it is, but added to the context, when I mentioned above describes a good 70% of my family and my fiance's family combined. Most are kid free, but treat their dogs like royalty in the sense of treating everyone else like shit. I was excluded a lot until I was over the age of 18 simply because they preferred dogs to children and were vocal and rude about it. I couldn't even go to a family event as a child without being overlooked by most adults. Multiple gifts being handed out to the dogs, as well as hundreds of photos taken of them when I got maybe one to two things and no photos. So, no, I don't like dogs and I don't like those kind of people. But as I've gotten older, I actually get along really well with a lot of the individuals who hated me as a child, despite me being a quiet kid who stuck to myself. Anyhow, all of our recent family weddings have been strictly kid-free. I have no problems with what they want to do with their weddings, but I have three siblings, all of which have two kids under the age of 7. I also have a few cousins and collectively have 8 kids under the age of 11. With all of the other adults, they have about 10 dogs combined, I believe, and bring them everywhere because the whole family allows it. But my fiance and I talked, and he's very respectful of the fact that I do not want dogs at my wedding, but I do want the kids there. I want them all to be included as little ring bearers and flower girls, all of them, which is completely out of the norm and a bit chaotic, but they don't get included in anything, and I think it will be a blast for them. So I sent out the invites that specifically said no dogs are allowed under any circumstances, but even your emotional support dogs, which a few people in the family have claimed their dogs are, for no other reason than they give me a happy boost, so they are my emotional support baby, no other ailments. A lot of calls and texts were sent to me in regards to this, and a few were downright angry and stating that I'm being ridiculous because their dogs are their kids, and if I didn't want to include them, then I shouldn't be allowing children either because they are much more chaotic than our precious fur baby. I politely said that if they didn't like it, they didn't have to attend. The kid-bearing family members are ecstatic, but a lot of the others have declined the invite, which upsets my fiance because this means his brother, sister, and father won't be attending. But I'm standing my ground. AITA? ETA, I did make one single exception for my grandfather because he has a service dog who monitors his seizures, but he is the only dog allowed. Also, my fiance's father doesn't have a dog himself. He refuses to attend the wedding because my fiance's sister went and cried to him for us not allowing her to bring her two chihuahuas. His sister is 28 years old and has her father wrapped around her finger and still throws tantrums to get her way. So my future father-in-law has stated that he won't attend until we make an exception for my future sister-in-law. It's a power trip and manipulation at best. But no, my fiance isn't upset with me. He's upset that his father is making his big day all about his childish sister. NTA, dogs don't belong at weddings, and I like dogs much more than I like young kids at events where they can't behave. You should be clear that actual service dogs are welcome, but not emotional support dogs if that is your feeling. Honestly, I can't imagine you would even have to say this, as I can't imagine bringing a dog to a wedding, but you know your family better than I do, obviously. If your fiance's brother, sister, and father aren't going to his wedding because the dog can't come with them, they clearly aren't close enough to him to care what they think, and your fiance should read them the riot act in this regard. Sounds like you're better off without them. Real family couldn't be kept away from your wedding, even if you made them climb a mountain to attend. NTA, I'm a dog lover, but I'd still never think it was appropriate to bring my dog to a wedding or to invite people to bring dogs to my wedding. Dogs are different than children, no matter how much your future in-laws want you to believe they're the same. Also, at the end of the day, it's your wedding. You have the right to invite who you'd like. Unless your family members have a physical disability that would make it impossible to attend without a dog's support, which doesn't seem to be the case here, you're not excluding anyone. They're choosing not to come. It sucks that your fiance's family is saying they won't come, but also wild, he's upset with you and not with his family, who are all literally choosing a dog over him. Hopefully, he can see that and you guys can have a nice day regardless. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.